My name is Miosoti Santiago, and this is my story. I was the oldest of four, born from Dominican immigrants from Dominican Republic. My mother had a child every 2 years, and as the oldest, I was responsible for taking care of my siblings while my parents figured things out. My father ended up becoming an alcoholic. It was years of the police coming to my house, my mom and father fighting, blood, things breaking, my siblings being scared, me being the oldest, having to grab my siblings and protect them and put them in a room and tell them everything's going to be okay. Being the oldest of four children, and your mother had to work 2 jobs, and you were held responsible for the house, the cleaning, the cooking, taking care of your siblings. At that point, I felt that I was old enough to be in a relationship, so I started dating an older man. When something like that happens to you, you automatically blame yourself, right? It's your fault. I was 13, I should have never did that. So I kept that inside for a very long time, which caused me to be depressed. And I was so upset with myself. I thought my parents would be so angry with me. And I said, before my parents kill me, I'm just gonna kill myself. And I just put them all back together, and I laid down in bed and I just laid there waiting. And I wanted to get up and say something, but at this point I already had did it. So from what my sister tells me is in the morning when they got up to go to school and when they went to go wake me up, I was already foaming out of the mouth, basically in a coma. And when it was time for me to get discharged, the hospital convinced my mother that I wouldn't be a productive citizen, so she signed me over to a psychiatric hospital. So after I was released from the psychiatric hospital, my mother decides to drive me to the airport, and I jumped on a plane straight to Miami. I made the decision to leave because I just had enough of that life. So I ended up in New York. I bought 3 one-way tickets and I flew to New York City, and I ended up living with the family members. And I found myself now in a relationship with a very handsome Puerto Rican man from Spanish Harlem. He was very well known, and the way that he loved me and my daughters, he just accepted, my daughters. And everything was perfect, like it always is in the beginning. I started noticing that he was starting to get upset over me talking to other men. As I was going through the visitor's desk, the manager asked me, are you looking for a job? And I said, no. He said, well, we're hiring. So I said, really? He said, yes. So he said, here, take the application. So I took it. And now I was working for Unique Securities, and we did securities for One World Trade and Two World Trade. That morning he got up and he started getting dressed for work. And I just looked at him as he ironed his clothes. And as he was leaving, I got up and he just grabbed me and he said, "You know, you're the best thing that ever happened to me." And I said, "You're the best thing that ever happened to me too." And he gave me a kiss on my forehead and he said, "Call me when you get to work." I ended up going back home, making sure all three of my daughters made it to school. I went back on the bus to Parsons, jumped on the E train to Chambers Street, stepped on Chambers Street, and now I'm walking through the plaza. I pull out my phone to call Andrew to let him know that I'm late. And that's when I heard the plane. And as I looked up, all you hear is just the explosion. That's when I just started running into One World Trade. That's where I was walking into. A Port Authority police officer grabs me and she says, "Where are you going?" I said, "My fiance's up there. I need to know where he's at." She said, "You're not going anywhere. You're coming with me." She grabs me by my elbow. Next thing you know, we run out of One World Trade. Debris and everything's flying everywhere. And that's where we ran across the plaza and she handed me to someone on Broadway, and I stayed on Broadway the entire time. I was looking up in just disbelief. I didn't know what was going on. I was trying to call his phone, he wasn't answering. Calling my sisters, nobody's answering. And I was just stuck. Time was like still. People are screaming, people are just running. Everyone is just, we're looking at each other like, what's going on? And that's from out of nowhere. You just see another plane just come and just boom, Tower 2 got hit. Now that's when everyone was in panic, but for some reason I didn't move. I did not leave Broadway. I just stood there looking up at the towers, just wondering where Andrew was. There was these figures just falling very fast. And you would just hear these thumps, these like little explosions, like little thumps all over the place. When you just started hearing those thumps, you would just cringe and just close your eyes because you knew that was somebody who just made the decision to jump. And I didn't know whether if he jumped, I don't know where he was. Next thing you know, I feel this rumbling underneath me. I'm looking up at the towers and I'm just noticing, like trying to figure out what's going on, because the tip of Tower 2 just tipped and the building is falling, it's moving. And I was just looking at it and this man just came from out of nowhere and he said, "Ma, we need to run." So he grabbed me by my hand and just pulled me as we started running down Broadway. And that's when Two World Trade suddenly collapsed and we were engulfed in all that ash and all that debris. While this gush of wind and everything just went black and just everything just went silent. And I just closed my eyes, my whole life just flashed before my eyes and everything just went silent. I just screamed to this guy, I said, "Could you please help me?" And I just heard him say, "Follow me." And that's what I did. So after 9/11 and after 6 months of not hearing from him and standing in lines and filling out applications and, I realized that he might not be coming home. I just couldn't take being in the same apartment with, the love of my life, not being there. I just couldn't take it anymore. So I decided to pack up and pack me and my girls up and move to Connecticut. So in my eyes, he was still in a burn unit somewhere. That's what I thought. And he was just, in a coma and nobody knew who he was, and he was gonna snap out of it one day and he was gonna look for me. But 2 days before his birthday in April, I received a call that the medical examiner identified his right arm and his left leg. And that's what they found. And 20 years later, that's basically still what they found. That was basically the beginning of my push into purpose. My mission statement says, "My pain has become my purpose." So my purpose in life now is to instill hope in other women and young girls. It was a blessing for me to push through my pain because there truly is something else besides the pain. It gets better. You know, your pain is what pushes you, and you know that pain is just, you start developing a passion to never want to feel that pain again. Then never wanting to feel that pain again becomes a passion to want to help someone else never want to feel that pain again. And that's where the passion started developing for me, to tell my story and to minister to other women through my story, so that I can plant seeds in them, giving them the inspiration that they need to know that this pain is going to become something one day. And know that whatever situation you're in, it's only temporary. Just believe in yourself a little bit more. My book, it was meant to be my ministry. It's the therapy for me. That's my therapy to someone else. I've accomplished a few things and received a few awards, you know, one of them being the 100 Women of Color of Connecticut. But the awards to me are not the most important. It's the people who I've gotten to meet throughout the years. It's been a blessing. How can you minister or tell someone something about something you never made it out of? You have to go through the storm so that you can help somebody else out of the storm. So I just encourage women to hold on and embrace your storms, embrace them, get to love them. They may feel like it's the worst thing in the world at the moment, but that storm is going to truly make you the woman that you were destined to be. So happy stuff is coming. So after all of that pain and everything else, you know, I ended up with some 3 amazing daughters. Now I have a 32, a 28, and a 24-year-old with 4 grandchildren. They are the love of my life. I can tell you that through all that pain, after my daughter graduated, I decided to go back to school at 46. And I'm currently still a student at Three Rivers Community College, trying to pursue my degree in human services. Don't let this pain break you. Let it make you, like they say. It's going to make you the woman who you were destined to be.